If you're a salon or spa owner, cosmetology school gave you the skills to serve clients, but it didn't prepare you to run a business. You probably thought ownership would mean freedom, but instead you're working harder than ever, barely paying yourself, and worried that everything's going to fall apart the second you step away. Welcome to the station, where we give you real strategies, systems, and structure so you can step into the CEO seat where you belong. Hey friends, welcome back to the station. This is the podcast for salon and spa owners who want to grow, lead better, and build something that lasts. I'm Brie, founder of the Beauty Biz Agency, and I've got my amazing co-host, co-founder, Miss Chandra here with me today. Hey girl, how are you?
Hello. Doing good.
Well, I am glad that you're finally feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, getting back to normal for sure. It's getting better.
That's great. Well, today's episode is hitting in the new year. We are in 2026. It sounds crazy. Even though this is hitting at the end of January, most of you out there listening to this are kind of back into the grind of running your salon business, your spa business, whatever it is, leading your teams, servicing those clients, and handling all of the millions of other things that you constantly have on your plates. You probably started this month out like so many people did. You had these huge goals that you wanted to hit, right? You had that new year, new you mentality. And you're just praying that this year is going to be different in some way, shape, or form. That's the way most of us start our new years, with purpose and with a plan. But what happens often is we get back into the groove of things, and the resolutions that we create in the beginning and the dreams that we have in the beginning of the year, they quickly start getting pushed to the back burner. This happens to me all the time. And by the time we realize it, we feel like we've already failed. That's a horrible feeling. So what do? We just kind of push forward doing the things the same way that we've always done them. So today, I think I want to talk about why that doesn't have to be your only option and how you can still make 2026 the best year yet as long as you start recalibrating starting today. So, Chandra, how many times have you made New Year's resolutions and you look up in your business and you're at the end of January and nothing that you told yourself has actually stuck?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every year since I opened my business for 16 years. So actually, it's going to be 18 years. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every year I do that. At the end of the year, I'm really strong. I'm like, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to hit this. We're going to change this, add this, whatever. And literally, March will be there and I'll be like, I didn't do any of it or very little.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's a frustrating place to be in. But I think one of the biggest things that I've learned throughout my ownership journey, whether it be the salon or other businesses, is that there's a big difference between a resolution and a reset. And I've gotten to where now in my life, I focus more on the reset than I do the resolutions. Most salon owners, they go into that new year just like we do, right? They tell themselves that they are going to try harder, they're going to be more disciplined, they're going to be more focused, and somehow operate better inside of the same structure that they were already struggling in. And then they end up really, really frustrated when nothing actually feels different. I think that's the biggest issue. And it's something that I did. It's like that hamster wheel, right? Just over and over and over. A resolution is basically a personal promise, right? That you are going to push yourself more. But a reset is really a decision that you are going to change the rules of how your salon business operates. And I think that distinction right there matters a lot because you cannot outwork a structure that isn't working. It's one of the biggest epiphanies I've ever had in my life. Chandra, when you're talking with other salon and spa owners out there, where do you see them most often confuse effort with structure the most?
I think they confuse it a lot because they don't want to put the effort in to create the structure sometimes. And so I think it kind of goes hand in hand where they are like, I'm going to do all these new things. I'm going to change all these things, but like you said, they don't change the structure. And so nothing can change. And so I think they think it's just if I work harder, it's going to get better, but that's not actually what the problem is. The problem is the structure and the systems they have in the business.
100%. That's something that we hear all the time. I need more clients. I need to work harder. I just need to do more, 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 more. And at the end of the day, you and I know because we have failed so many times that that is not the issue at all. It really comes down to the structure. When owners start looking at their business through the lens of a reset instead of a resolution, there are really three areas that almost always need attention first. The first one is money. That is always the first one. Most owners, you roll into this new year and you're carrying the exact same financial habits that you had the year before without really questioning them, which means you've got the same pricing, the same payroll behaviors, the same product ordering patterns, and the same loose sense of what is normal, even if none of it actually feels good or feels right. Resetting your money, it's different. It means that you stop letting last year's habits dictate this year's results and you actually sit down and rebuild your budget. You take a real look at what the business needs to bring in on a monthly basis and you decide what percentage you are willing to spend on payroll and product instead of just reacting to whatever happened the month before. It also means looking at your pricing honestly and asking whether it actually supports the structure that you're trying to run. Because if your pricing does not support healthy payroll, which is something we see all the time, or healthy expense percentages, nothing else in the business is ever going to feel stable. It's just never going to happen. Chandra, when salon and spa owners, when they finally look at their numbers from a very, very honest standpoint, what tends to surprise them the most?
But I think they're surprised at how much they spend on things. Like, they don't realize how much money they're wasting on professional supplies that they didn't need to spend. They don't realize how much money they're wasting on payroll that doesn't necessarily need to be the way that it is. And I think one of the biggest epiphanies is that they actually maybe realize they could be making more money themselves if they just fixed some of these things. Because there's a lot of money on the table that's just kind of being wasted that you don't even know is happening until you look at it like that.
Yeah, you're 100% right. One of the things that we find when we start digging into salon and spa owners' finances and getting them on our BBA Savvy tracker is that that wasted money, sometimes thousands upon thousands of dollars a month, could be owner salary very, very easily if they could just get their spending habits in control. Okay, the second area that usually needs to be reset is team standards because I feel like the holiday season, it kind of tends to loosen everything, right? We're so busy. And then most salons, they just quietly drift without anybody meaning for it to ever even happen. Start times, maybe they get a little bit softer. Retail conversations, they start disappearing. Rebooking becomes inconsistent. And policies, they slowly kind of turn into those suggestions, which is a really bad place to be. And owners notice it, but often they just choose not to address it because they're tired or because they don't want to deal with the uncomfortable conversations. Resetting team standards, it means actually stepping back into that leadership seat and clearly reestablishing what is expected, what is non negotiable, and what you are going to coach moving forward. Coaching is huge. You have to coach your employees. You're not going to do it in an aggressive way, not in some dramatic way, right? But in a calm and clear and consistent way so that your team actually knows what good looks like in your studio, what success looks like in your studio. Chandra, what do you usually see happen when owners start clearly resetting these expectations instead of just hoping things are going to tighten up or get better on their own?
Well, I mean, I think they start to see the changes that they've been trying to see in their business for who knows how long. And they start to see it actually take place. And it's growing pains. It's not easy. It's not like you just pop these things in and all of a sudden, magic happens. But when you do start doing it and you start being consistent with it, you do see your business start to flourish. You start to be profitable. Your team starts to be happier. I feel like everything just gets better when you start really being consistent with.
Standards are so important. People overlook them all the time. And we say this consistently on this podcast. I get it. You don't want to be the bad guy. I understand. But you have to have standards in life, in business, everywhere. Without them, you're going to be in big trouble. Okay, so number one was money. Number two is team standards. And the third area that has to be reset is your role inside of your business. Because if you don't intentionally change how you're spending your time, The year is going to run you every single time. That's what's going to happen. Most owners spend the majority of their week producing, right? Or answering messages or reacting to problems. And then they wonder why they never feel like they're getting ahead. Resetting your role means deciding that part of your job is actually CEO work and you're going to focus on it. And this includes sitting with those numbers. It includes planning, reviewing performances, and thinking about where the business is going to be headed, where you want it to go, and how you're going to make that happen. And if this time is not blocked off on your calendar, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know this from experience. Chandra knows it from experience. You have to put it on your calendar. You have to be intentional. Chandra, when owners actually start blocking that CEO time, daily, weekly, whatever it is, what usually changes for them first?
I think they start to step into a more of a leadership role in their own self. Like we see it with members all the time. Once they finally start putting that down and making that a priority, all of a sudden they start becoming better leaders in their business. They start leading with intention and having more confidence and actually knowing now what to do with the business instead of just reacting to things all the time and not doing anything. And so when you block that time out and you actually start knocking those things off your list that need to get done, that need to happen, that you need to focus on, you start really becoming that true CEO. I mean, that's why we call it the CEO time, because it really helps to get you in that mode of thinking and start doing it in that way. And you see those changes almost immediately. Like as soon as you just start doing it, you can see it right away.
Absolutely. And when you reset things like your money, your team standards, and your role, and if you'll do it starting today and really take it for the next 90 days, you are going to be able to create a completely different foundation for the rest of 2026 instead of spending it, trying to catch up or spending it trying to build from places that you don't want to be or habits you don't want to be in. You'll actually have clarity moving forward. So, Chandra, let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life because recalibration, a reset, it sounds nice as a concept, right? But what owners really need is a place to start. This is where we find that most of our owners that we coach just get really, really confused. So, the first thing that Chandra and I would tell you to do is a financial scrub. Now, I don't mean opening your accounting software and just staring at your reports that you don't fully understand. You have to learn to understand those. I mean, like literally pulling your last 3 months of bank statements, credit card statements, and going line by line through every single charge. You are looking for subscriptions that you forgot about, software that you barely use, duplicates, right, of things that you have, tools that you're not using, services that you signed up for 2 years ago that you never canceled, expenses that have quietly just become normal things without ever being questioned. That is something that I found a lot of when I was scrubbing through my finances and numbers. They were everywhere. As you go through it, you need to highlight anything that is recurring on those statements, okay? And ask yourself, do we still need this? Does this actually support the business at this time? And is this producing a return for us? Because if it isn't, you probably don't need it. Then once you've kind of cleaned that part up, you reset your benchmarks for your business. You decide what range payroll is allowed to live in, what range product is allowed to live in, what range those operating expenses are allowed to live in. It's not going to be perfect in the beginning. You don't have to do this forever, line by line. You just need to do it for a while and be very, very intentional. This step alone is usually going to give owners more breathing room than they expect almost immediately. The second thing that Chandra and I would have you do is host a reset meeting with your team. This is not a hype meeting, and I think people get this confused a lot. It's not a motivational meeting either. It's a clarity meeting. That's it, just a clarity meeting. This is where you're going to lay out your vision for what 2026 is. But most importantly, you're going to reset those standards in this meeting. You're going to talk through your expectations. You are going to reinforce policies that have probably drifted a little bit. You're going to explain what matters again. Share your benchmarks with your team if you want to. Do not assume that people just remember anything. Share what you need to share. Don't assume that people already know these things because most of the time they don't. You have to say it loud. You have to say it clear. A reset that only lives in your head is not going to be a reset that works. The team has to hear it, and they have to hear it clearly. Chandra, why is a reset meeting with your team talking about expectations so very important?
And there's a lot of things that you need to be doing at the beginning of the year to set those expectations. But I think that reset meeting, once you guys have gotten through the holidays, everybody's fallen apart, everything needs to get back on track. It's like the perfect time to kind of get everybody on board together, like really working together in that meeting to, set those expectations, set your goals for the year, set your, benchmarks and get them enrolled in it, because then you can start out the year with them on fire too. I feel like sometimes we walk into the new year like on fire, like our business, we're going to do this and this and this, but we forget like we have to light them up too, so that they can take that and then run with it and help you get to those goals. And so I think that reset meeting really does that. It's not about anything negative, anything bad. It should really just be about, getting them excited about what the new year's going to be like and then how you guys are going to get there.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I think is really important to go over when you're going through this reset meeting is your guest experience journey. From the moment somebody books, all the way through the checkout and the follow up, and start asking yourself and your team, where did things slip last year? Maybe consultations were getting rushed. Maybe pre booking became inconsistent. Maybe retail conversations just didn't even happen at all. You can see that in your numbers, right? But this is an area that I find that always slips throughout the year. And when I start looking around January at the beginning of the year, I don't even recognize our client experience journey sometimes. Do you think that's important, Chandra?
100%. Plus, you guys might be able to come up with things to improve it for the new year. What can you do better that's going to make this year be, more profitable and bring in more revenue? Because that client journey is number one.
Absolutely. And then the last thing you want to do is block your CEO time. And I mean, really, really do this, not when you get around to it, but do it almost immediately. You literally put 2 to 4 hours a week on your calendar right now, as soon as you get done listening to this. Okay. Put it on your calendar and label it CEO time. It's that simple. That time is for those numbers, planning, leadership, not talking to clients, not catching up on your text, not scrolling on social media. It has to be blocked and it has to be intentional. Because if not, you are going to find yourself not having time for it at all. Finally, you choose one growth lever for the first quarter. And I know the first quarter is already started, but you can still do this. Don't choose five, choose one. You don't want some long list, right? Maybe it's hiring, maybe it's pricing, maybe it's retention, maybe it's tightening productivity. I don't care what it is. Pick one area and build momentum there first, because momentum always comes from focus. It doesn't come from trying to fix everything at once. It comes from being very, very focused on one area. That's how you put a salon reset into motion. It's taking these steps. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing complicated. It's literally intentional, grounded adjustments in the areas that matter the most. Chandra, when owners focus on this one lever that they're going to pull instead of focusing on everything at one time, what kind of momentum do we usually see with the salon and spa owners that we work with?
Huge momentum. Like they just do that one thing and then all of a sudden they accomplish it and it starts to make a change in the business, and then they do the next thing and the next thing, and it gives them that push that they need to actually get going, to actually get things rolling in the right direction, instead of being overwhelmed because you're like, I have to do 20 million things, so I'm just going to do nothing. That one thing just changes the business and changes the owners that we work with. I see, you know, tremendously super fast. So definitely don't get overwhelmed. Pick one thing, like Brie said, and just stick with it until you get it there.
Yeah, it's really cool to see because we have the two types of owners, right? We have the ones that actually listen and really focus in and do what we tell them to do, and we will see them just busting out goals like crazy because it's like one check, one check, one check. And then we have the others who are trying to do 550 things and we have to reset them, every so often because they don't focus on that one. I'm telling you, that one lever will change everything and give you so much motivation. All right, before we wrap this up, I want to switch gears and get into the listener question. This one is completely unrelated to today's conversation, but I think it's something a lot of salon owners quietly struggle with. So we had somebody write in and ask, how do I know when it's time to stop trying to save certain team members and I accept that they might not be the right fit for my salon anymore? Chandra, what do you say about that?
Oh my gosh, I have done this way too much over the years. And I think once it doesn't take long when you actually really start nailing down the things that you want from your employees, what expectations, what's your culture like, do they fit into that? Because once you nail that down, as soon as they don't fit into kind of that mold in a way, then like I'm not going to save them. I think they have so much potential, so I'm stringing them along for like ever and ever and ever, and it's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's never going to end right, and you're going to be fighting it constantly over and over and over until you get to the point where you finally do let them go. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is really defining exactly what your culture looks like, what you want, and then just holding every employee accountable to that. If they don't fit into that within a few months, it's not ever going to happen. And so it's just easier, I think, to know when to try to save somebody and when to try to just let them go when you have that stuff figured out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, you feel like this internal tug of war, I think, between wanting to be a good human and needing to run a functional business. Most of us choose to just be that human instead of running that functional business, and we get in trouble. If somebody is consistently missing expectations, guys, if they, aren't coachable in any way, shape, or form, if they aren't taking feedback seriously, if they're not applying the things that you're teaching, if you're not seeing effort and movement over time, you have to cut them. You have to cut them. It doesn't matter how much you like them. It doesn't matter what you see in them. You have to let them go because your business is so very important. And at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to suffer. But not only you, your business numbers are going to suffer and the rest of your team. Chandra, how does this rub off on the rest of the team members if it's not handled quickly?
I mean, it's like a cancer. It spreads through super fast, and your other team will become deflated. They get frustrated because they're trying to do things right, or trying to, grow and do the things that, the business wants. And then there's this person that is constantly just not, meeting those expectations and getting away with it. And it gets frustrating for them. And then they will stop, doing the things that you like for them to, whatever they're supposed to be doing and meeting those expectations, because they just deflate it. It deflates your team, and then you're fighting that battle constantly. And we see it all the time with, owners with teams when they start going through all these processes, and they realize how much they're fighting that battle. And when they finally let that person go, their whole team changes and everything gets so much easier. So definitely, yeah.
Don't be afraid to cut the cord. Don't be afraid to cut the cord. Now, I don't think you need to just fire immediately. Definitely look things over. But if all the signs are there, cut the cord because it's going to be really, really bad in the long run. I do not know why salon owners are notorious for pushing this off so much, but we've got to do better. And here's the thing that I've realized a lot of times when I've let somebody go, I have done them a very good thing because they're able to go and find somewhere that they can flourish, somewhere that they can grow, somewhere that they fit in better with the culture. Sometimes it's just the way that you coach, the way that you teach, the way that you do things. They don't understand it. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them or wrong with you. It just means they need to find their place and their tribe. And so a lot of times you're actually holding them back if you're keeping them on your team. All right, let's wrap this up. As we do, I just want to bring it back to something simple. If January hasn't gone the way that you pictured it thus far, it doesn't mean that 2026 is already off track, okay? It means you still have a huge opportunity in front of you. You can recalibrate your money, recalibrate your standards, and recalibrate your role. And if you'll do it early in the year, it can change the entire trajectory of how your business feels and how it functions moving forward. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. You don't need to blow up your business. You just need to be willing to start tightening what actually matters. You need help with that, whether it's understanding your numbers, cleaning up your structure, or figuring out maybe the next move that you need to make. You can grab some free resources or check out our coaching options at thebeautybizagency.com. And hey, if this episode spoke to you or it helped you in any way, please share it with another salon or spa owner who needs it. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so other owners can find us, and make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss out on what we have coming up next. Chandra, how can our listeners keep up with everything we've got going on at the Beauty Biz Agency?
Yeah, make sure you're following us on social media at the Beauty Biz Agency on Instagram and Facebook, or the Beauty Biz Mentors on TikTok, and subscribe to our website. And you can definitely get updates and, anything we've got going on and get access to those free resources. So definitely reach out to us and stay connected.
Absolutely. That's a wrap, guys. You've been listening to the station where salon owners stop hoping for change and start creating it through structure. Until next time, tighten the business, claim your CEO seat, and stop running another year on autopilot. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. And as always, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger. If this episode lit a fire under you, don't just walk away and let it die out. Deep down, you already know where you want your business and your life to go. And the truth is, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is a real plan to get you there. That's exactly what we help you build. So if you're ready to stop trying to figure it out on your own, head to thebeautybizagency.com and book your free strategy call. That call can give you the clarity that you've been needing and a real plan to move your business forward. Because at the end of the day, the only thing standing between you and the salon business you've been dreaming about is whether or not you're willing to take the action and the steps in order to build it.